Hello everyone, this is Jimmy and welcome to episode 38 of Celestial Journey. Today we're going to dive into our latex world and start pumping that and making a lot of plastic. Wonder how many people would get it if I called it LaTeX world. Anyways, nerdy joke. So, our world is now generated and powered and we should be able to teleport there. These all liquid worlds tend to be a little laggy. I expect this will be no exception. So I'll try to limit the time I spend in here. It's not that bad, um, but it is a little laggy. Anyways, if we look out, it's latex as far as the eye can see. So we're gonna pump it with a builder with a pump card. So my plan is to pump it with the builder, stored in a black hole tank, because the builder, when pumping fluids, is extreme. I mean, it's basically as fast as when it's mining blocks. And then transfer that. You can barely see the colors on this ender tank here. Let me just get rid of that for a second. Geez, that is high hardness. It's triple gray, because that's approximately the color of the fluid, right? Anyways, so once I turn this on, it should go. There we go. And yeah, you see how quick this is. There's almost no way we'll use it, a quarter as fast as we're pumping it. But once I'll set up on the overworld side the other ender tank, and we can use that to turn into the plastics. And I almost forgot a chunk loader. Actually, I don't think I should place it next to the lever. I don't know if the lever turns it off. All right, a chunk loader. Before we head back to the overworld, I want to observe that this dimension we're in, dimension 10, is taking up a significant amount of tick time. So my plan is actually that what I can do is, instead of leaving this running all the time, maybe after like an hour or so, I'll come and I guess I can just take the trunk loader away. That'll cause this world to unload, and I'll take this black hole tank with me to the overworld. That way we don't have to load like all this fluid. I think, or maybe it's only while the tank pump's running. You know what, let me try something. If I turn the pump off, does the tick time go down by chance? Not really. Okay, yeah, I think what's happening is these all fluid worlds tend to be pretty laggy unless they're made of water. So as a result, I try to avoid running them all the time. So what I'll do is once we run this for a little bit, I mean, honestly, this is probably more, liquid latex than we'll ever use, but I'll let it run for like half an hour. And yeah, and then I'll just take this tank to the overworld, and then we can get rid of the chunk loader here so we can reclaim our tick time. And then on the overworld side, we just have to process all that latex down to plastic. So I have 10 processing units here. That'll be our starting point, and I'll just, hook them all up to both water and our latex tank. One problem I didn't expect to run into was water. So each operation takes a full bucket of water and 100 milliliters of latex, right? So it actually uses water at a 10-to-1 ratio with latex, and these endophores aren't nearly fast enough. Unfortunately, there just isn't, as far as I can tell, a very fast infinite water source in this pack. Maybe I can try the pumping upgrade with some speed upgrades. See how that goes. All right, so let's try the transfer node. Without any speed upgrades, I expect it's quite slow. And indeed, that is quite slow. But I have all 3 tiers on me. So if I just use the basic speed upgrades, it's what, like 200 a couple times a second? Not great. Let's try it with the next tier. It's better. But the magical tier, the ultimate tier, that's actually pretty good. Yeah, that probably pumps faster than this can actually extract without speed upgrades. Indeed. So let's grab some extraction speed upgrades, put those in here. All right, there we go. And then that hopefully will be able to provide water fast enough to keep up with all of these. The answer is it's at least close. Cool. So now that solves both the water problem and the rubber problem, or not the latex. Now all I have to do is take the latex. I don't actually want this drawer here. I want something to smelt. We have to craft the latex from these tiny dry rubbers into the big one. And then we have to smelt these in a, redstone furnace of some sort. By the way, the reason I don't use these like ultimate tier speed upgrades everywhere is that look at that power cost, 192 GP, and they are quite obnoxious to craft. Like a stack of these takes 4 stacks of evil infused ingots, 4 stacks of drops of evil, bunch of stuff. So it's quite a hassle to make them, but they are very powerful, undeniably. This entire system seems to only produce these dry rubbers about as fast as one redstone furnace can smelt them. So I guess it's what, 1 per second-ish. I think we are getting a significant amount of lag now. For some reason, when I leave that dimension, the tick time gets way higher. So I think what I'll do, it's been like 10 minutes, but I'll probably just head over there and rip up the chunk loader and, move the latex tank over to here. In fact, why don't I also get rid of all this water now that I don't need it to? That might be causing a little bit of lag. I'll, be as frugal as I can. All right, we have just under 110, or just over now, 110 million millibuckets now. So that's, you drop the last 3 digits. It's basically every bucket is approximately 1 piece of plastic, right? This is like 110,000 when processed, and that's probably enough. So I'll pick that up, turn this off, and pick this up. I'll leave the rest of this here in case I want to come back to it later. But I think that should cause the dimension to unload when I leave it, which should effectively make it take up no tick time. And then once this ender tank is drained, I can just replace it with the black hole tank. Oopsie, there's a tiny bit left in it. Is there? No, there isn't. Okay, cool. And then I can reuse this ender tank for something later down the line if I feel like it. And there we go. Just like that, our tick time problem is solved. Dimension 10 is so unloaded, it's not even on the list anymore. Wow. Okay. Really? Alright, well, in any event, problem solved. And since we're not using it anymore, we may as well not pay 100,000 RF a tick for it. So we can take this out. So the whole reason we needed this plastic was for creative modifiers. I suspect we'll still need a little bit more. Let's see. Yeah, it looks like it's still stuck on plastic. 1600 shouldn't take that long. Let's see. We've gotten 10 stacks in, I don't know, maybe somewhere between 5 to 10 minutes. And now that we're running at full speed, it'll run even faster. I suspect we're actually getting more than a stack a minute. So how much were we missing? 1600? That's like around 20 stacks, so take about 20 minutes. That's not too bad. In the meanwhile, then, the whole reason we want those creatives is to make the Blood Orb, but we also need a Flux Capacitor for that, right? Good news is now that we've automated all of our infrastructure to make all the parts leading up to this, it should be just as easy as requesting it up the line. So first thing is, I guess even before the cache, we have already created those. Cool. So we need 2 creative caches. That's not a cache. And I'll probably do this off camera because I've already gone through these steps once, until I run out of blood gem. Blood gem. I ran a quarry for blood gem ore, right, with the intention of making a RF tools dimension out of that. I guess that will be our next step then, and that'll kill the 20-ish minutes we need. So the process is basically the same as creating a liquid dimension, except now since you do it with solids, you use the solid ore, and I just have to place I guess I think it's 2 stacks of this, and we'll have this is a material absorber that's 100% absorbed for blood gem. Just as before, we make first the ore dimlet, and then we get an empty dimension tab. Put that in our dimlet inscriber. Give it, let's see, no features, no structures. These are not necessary, but it just prevents like other stuff from generating in the world that'll clog up our quarry. Flat, and before the flat we put our ore. Alright, so here's our dimension. It's only 5,000 a tick. That's cheap. Alright, so we put that there. It'll generate. For this, I believe, since the ore is affected by fortune, I want, here it is, my fortune quarry card. And I'll need a new builder for this as well. With our dimension fully generated, let's go pay it a visit. And just be able to teleport to it. Well, it's not quite 100% blood gems, but I think if we go any distance below the surface, yeah. So as long as we don't quarry like above ground, we shouldn't have to deal with, you know, all the random junk that gets generated on top of it. So I just have to get the quarry parameters right. I dug out a little section just so I could see the preview, and I have it set to dig that corner and exactly at, you know, this ground level and above. So it shouldn't dig up any of the junk that's spawning above ground. So I don't need to filter or anything. And lastly, just a lever to turn it on. Turn that off because that causes lag while it's running. And all right, now we're getting lots of blood gems. So these are being deposited in, you know, the place where our quarries usually deposit their stuff. And yeah, this is very fast. Now it's complaining it's not getting enough power. I can't really help it with that. This is as much power as I can get you, buddy. Still not enough? Well, you're gonna have to make do. Yeah, like since it's underpowered, it's not running at 100%, you know, optimal as fast as possible speed, but this is still plenty fast. So I'll just drop a chunk loader here, and we'll be on our way. The good thing about these like all solid dimensions, if we look here, is they take a bit of tick time, but it's a lot less than the all liquid dimensions. So I don't really have to worry about, you know, leaving this here and it using up our valuable tick time. Apparently there's some cobblestone. Meh, whatever. So on the overworld side here, we can see here's the matching ender chest, and they get dumped somewhere on this wall, and I have literally no clue where, but it doesn't really matter. So now that our blood gems are, you know, rolling in, we should be able to craft, what did I need them for? It was one of the creatives, right? Creative modify? No, this was what we needed plastic for. Let's see. We might have enough plastic now. Looks like we're still... that number hasn't changed. Why? Probably because... No, that is connected. This is running. Why has that plastic number not changed? Weird. Derp derp. I didn't realize that this ME conduit line is actually still on the subnet, on our P2P subnet. So I connected it to the subnet, which it's perfectly functional. It'll reveal the items to the subnet, but you know, the subnet's not connected with a storage bus to our main network. So that should fix that. And now we have our plastic. All right. Well then, does that mean I can request 3 of these? Sure looks like it. Go. Meanwhile, while that runs, I still have to make, as I mentioned before, the capacitor. So that was 2 of these. These crafting plans take a while to make, even when they succeed. Uh-oh. Wait, why does this take even more plastic? Oh, because these have to make more death protection poppets. And more death bases? Yikes. Alright, well, I guess at this point, 6,000 plastic. I just have to wait. I have to craft a bunch of enchanted fabric too. Man, I should have set this plastic up earlier. Oh well, my fault. Well, since I don't want to wait an hour for all that plastic to process, why don't I just make another 10 latex processing units? And that'll cut it down, you know, by half. Which is still longer than I want to wait, but this is something I've done to myself. To keep up with more processing units, then we need a second redstone furnace and another water pumper thingy. However, because these things take up a ridiculous 192 grid power each, and we're running low on grid power is my point. So I need more mills. However, due to extra utility 2's absolutely ridiculous and unneeded like, whatever they call this, efficiency system. Instead of generating 500 grid power each, these mills will generate like 25 each. But alas, I have no choice but to really use them, because the alternative is to spam more of the useless tiny small mills that don't do anything. Like there are just no good mill options in Extra Utilities 2 once you get above 1,000-ish grid power. It's like, sure, I can generate a couple hundred with fire mills and a couple, a little bit with windmills, but these are inconsistent, and some with yada yada yada. I don't know. I really hate the diminishing return system on Extra Utilities too. But alas, I'm out of dragon eggs. So I can't fill the rest of these up. But when I get more eggs, I will just put them there, I guess. While we wait, I figure I may as well go kill a few more dragons. And to speed up the process of spawning them, I wanted to infuse a few more matter boosters. Unfortunately, it seems like the machine infuser doesn't accept like the item to be infused as piped input from any slot. So like it doesn't accept it from the top, it doesn't accept it from the sides. I tried it with like a hopper, so I have to sit here and like every minute give it a new matter beamer to put in. Womp womp. To help automatically collect the dragon eggs, I built this little system that'll push a piston every, what I have it set to, 5 seconds. And then a vacuum chest that'll suck up the egg. It shouldn't get griefed by the dragon as long as I can kill it before it reaches the center here. So where is my dragon spawner? Head over here, and right now, to spawn the dragon, all I do is like flip these levers, and all the stuff in these chests gets beamed. I'm gonna redesign it a little bit so I can flip a single lever to control it, and use a few more matter beamers, because as is, it takes like 10 seconds to spawn the dragon, which is obviously way too slow. I've added all of our matter beamers. They should all be connected. Oopsies, there's a couple left. All right, just as a refresher, to connect it, you right-click the two things. Anyways, so now I have a single matter beamer that is, that shouldn't have carrots in it. Carrots, go back home. This single matter beamer is on the brown channel in here, which is connected to this chest, which will be bottles of enchanting. Now, do keep in mind that it takes, we look here, 0.1 bottles of enchanting for an ender dragon. So, yeah, 58 bottles of enchanting spawns 580 ender dragons. Then there should be 3 doing endstone and 5 doing carrots. And to turn it on, all I have to do is flip the switch. Now remember when I said it's important that I don't let the dragon reach the center, because if it does, it'll grief like my my egg collection set up there. So while it's running, I just have to stand here and be ready to kill it as it spawns. The hearts get teleported to my inventory when when they're done spinning, and the and the eggs will automatically be collected by the system that I built there at the portal. So all I have to do is kill dragons. I'll probably kill, I don't know, I guess I'll do a couple hundred, because I'm going to need the hearts, and I guess I can use the eggs for grid power at this point. I counted real quick the time between dragon spawns, and it seems to be right around 10 seconds. So 10 seconds per dragon comes out to, 6 a minute? That's not bad. I can kill them much faster than they spawn, though, so at some point maybe I'll even add a few more of those matter beamers. I'm pretty sure the bottleneck are the carrot ones, because the spawning takes, I should have enough time to check real quick. Yeah, the spawning takes a lot more carrot than it does endstone. So as a result, I think the carrot ends up being the bottleneck. But in any event, killing 6 dragons a minute is fine. It's not a fully automated system, and I know there exist designs for fully automated systems that mostly work with mob griefing on, but good enough for government work. A second and a dragon got free, and it griefed my piston setup. However, I still got the 34 eggs. I don't know why I have more eggs than hearts. I think every now and then dragons drop 2 eggs for some reason. Oh well, I'll have to reset up that piston at some point. But I think if that piston's not there, the eggs just form a nice neat tower. I got bored after a little while, but it wasn't until, I got 47 eggs and 45 hearts. So I'm going to go ahead and put the eggs on the remainder of these mills here. And we'll use the hearts in crafting, I'm sure. I think they mostly will get turned into Awakened Draconium. I suppose I could start the process now because it does take a little while. Right, there we go. And I can make, let's see, 40 by 4 each, so let's make 160. Should use 40 of the hearts. Go. So that's killed a little bit of time, and I suspect we have enough plastic now to make this. Maybe, possibly, hopefully. Looks good. So that was a couple thousand, right? Like 7,000 something? Where was it in this list? I also had to craft a bunch of enchanted fabric, which is always obnoxious, but yeah, just under 7,000 plastic. All right, fire. So that'll take it a little bit. Yeah. And then I think there's one manual step involved there, which is at some point it'll dump the materials in here for the corrupted base, and I'll have to handcraft that. But anyways, I'm going to craft my way up to the creative flux capacitor, and if I don't encounter any issues on the way, I'll just, we'll cut right to there. So I know the recipe has actually been changed. These items, they don't actually make the creative cache, they make the creative key. However, because my AE system is taught that it makes the creative cache, that's the item I have to request when I craft it. Anyways, it should be, there's 1, and here's 2. Kind of curious. I wonder what item I'll get this time when I craft it. Will I get my, well, first of all, I get the rainbow smoke version, and I do get my iron thruster. Woohoo! Alright, so I've crafted our creative flux capacitor, which means we have all the components to make the ceremonial or creative blood orb. Now, one small hiccup is that this is actually exactly 21 outer ring items, and my infusion altar has exactly 20 slots. So I'm going to place an altar here and an altar here. These are, I'm not going to bother hooking them up to automation or anything. They'll just be there for, the last item when we do this one infusion. In fact, I think this is the only infusion that takes more than 20 items. I thought I counted it earlier, and I think I counted to 20, but apparently it's 21, right? Like even this is what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Like this is 20 or something like that, or maybe even less, 16. In any event, let's get this started. So the center item, which I still have to whitelist here, is the Blood Orb. And everything else goes on the sides. So I should be able to just deposit. Oh, I was expecting to have 1 item left over when I was done, not 2. Why? Did that blood orb not go there? It didn't. Where did my blood orb go? Alright, whatever. I'll just place it here manually. Oh, I think I know what happened. Is this blood orb? Did I click it? No, I didn't. Okay. I think it has, at least according to the recipe, it has to be an unbound blood orb, I think. Anyways, the last item I'll put here, and go. Oh, that lag spike isn't good. And we're back. The game definitely crashed. So I took a look at the crash log. What happened was it crashed while trying to determine if there's a valid recipe in the, on the infusion altar, and it crashed on a null pointer exception while comparing MBT tags. So I'm going to see, is there something here that has no MBT tags that perhaps should? Perhaps a flux capacitor should have MBT tags? That's the only item here that has MBT tags, right? Let me take a look at this. Does this version of it does have an MBT tag? So the other possible exception, or the other possible cause, is that no, it does have it. It just doesn't show in there. The other possible cause is that it doesn't like being right-clicked by a mechanical user. Come on, user, open up. Give me your glove. So I'm gonna try this first, I guess. Click it by hand, and if this crashes again, I'm gonna look deeper into the MBT data, see if I can find what it is. But good luck me. Oops. No, you're not going to go? Did I put the item back? Why is it not starting now? Go. Alright, what's wrong? Well, the only reason I can think of why this infusion wouldn't be running is because, I don't have a valid recipe map. So I'm going to try a few things. First, I'm going to see if I bind this blood orb to me, if it makes any difference. I doubt it. that probably made things worse. So almost definitely the problem is, again, with MBT data on some of these components. The thing is, none of these items actually have MBT data, right? So it's the only possibilities are the Blood Orb or the Flux Capacitor here. I'm going to try something. I'm going to make a new Blood Orb so that, one that's not bound to me. And I'm going to compare the Flux Capacitor I have to the one that's explicitly specified in the recipe, right? So to do that, basically I unpin this, pin it directly through here, and cheat that one in. And I suspect there's, again, some MBT data difference. Yeah. So once I do that, let's see. So this is the one I cheated in from the recipe. Will that start? It does. So again, there was a patch today that might have already fixed this, actually. Maybe this is what I get for not updating. Anyways, MBT data weirdness aside, we should be good to go now. Let me... I'm going to leave this alone until the infusion's done. It takes a lot of stuff. Apparently, wait, I thought it was more than 300. Right, it's more 512 for some of these, but I guess it caps out at 399. In any event, this infusion is going to take a couple minutes. I don't expect there to be any issues. There's like a slight instability hit because we're unbalanced, because there's 21 inputs, right? There's no way to balance 21 inputs. However, I don't expect to run into any stability events. You see that sometimes it dips from very stable to normal stable. That happens when... oh no. Okay, good. It didn't crash. That happens when we have a jar changeover. Anyways, this should be done in a couple minutes, and we should have our creative Blood Orb. Anyways, while that's crafting, let's take a look at what the next steps actually are. So, now that we have our Ceremonial Blood Orb, now that we will have our Ceremonial Blood Orb, that unlocks Warm Blood at Ender's Silicon. It's also, indirectly, gets us to stuff like Blessed Stone. I think this recipe is one of the last ones we would, that requires infinity and gets, produces infinite items. Alright, so, Warm Blood is, I think both of these are just crafting components, but I think first we want to go to Warm Blood because that gets us to the Creative Sacrificial Dagger. In fact, this recipe is basically just 4 pieces of Warm Blood. Now, my understanding is none of these recipes consume the Blood Orb. If they do, I'm like 99% sure that's a bug. Anyways, one kind of annoying thing about Warm Blood is that it takes Fiery Blood, which I think drops from the Hydra in Twilight Forest. I'll have to try various ways to see if we can spawn him, but I highly doubt we can. Which means if we're not able to spawn him, it kind of means that every time, every bottle of Warm Blood requires killing a Hydra. It's like not the end of the world until you get to these like blood tiers. Like for the Creative Ceremonial Dagger, taking 4 Hydra, each Hydra probably on average drops somewhere between 8 and 10. So it's like killing 1 Hydra to get a Blessed Stone, that's fine. But it's later when, these blood tiers, you need 6 of them per infinity and get, it might get annoying. Maybe not. Maybe I'm overthinking things. In any event, so once we get our Ceremonial Blood Orb, we can make Warm Blood, which we'll use to make the Creative Sacrificial Dagger. I guess we could, make a Blood Altar that it just has a bunch of capacity runes and we fill it with this. But practically speaking, I don't think it has any use. However, it does craft into the Blessed Stone, which is actually useful because infinite ultra power, just last episode we were running into ultra power problems, right? That's good. So I think let's start pitting these just so I remember. After the Blood Orb comes the dagger. After the dagger comes the stone. I think after the stone comes... I don't even think we need this quite yet. I think after the stone, actually, comes, what's that called? Neutronium? Let's see, neutronium nuggets are made from piles of neutrons. So, I think after we make the Blessed Stone for infinite ultra power, we can switch gears and start working on neutronium. That'll be a treat. So that takes a bunch of silicon. Anyways, I just wanted to look a little bit ahead. I don't want to, like, just this is probably about one episode's worth of work I already have pinned, so I don't want to overdo myself as far as the to-do list goes. But I think I've managed to stall just about enough time for this infusion to finish, and this will be our wonderful Blood Orb. All right, the last of the ingredients are done. Nice. I assume we don't have to bind this to us. Yeah. All right, so Ceremonial Blood Orb. Anyways, I think that's all the time we have for today. So we'll come back tomorrow and, again, do those things I talked about. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I hope to see you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.